Inflammation is a word we hear everywhere around today. Many people automatically think that inflammation is a disease. But is that really true? Is inflammation a disease? The answer is no. Inflammation is actually a body's protective mechanism and it is absolutely necessary for your survival. Inflammation is body's natural defense mechanism to fight against injury, infection or an allergen. Do you remember hurting your knee over a wall and that area turned red, hot, and swollen? That is inflammation. That is literally your body going to war to protect you. But the problem arises when the inflammation is ongoing inside your body for years and years without you even knowing that. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Bhavnita Lekhi. Welcome back to the channel Inside Health Explained. By the end of this video, you'll be able to figure out the difference between inflammation that saves your life and the inflammation that quite damages it. So, what is actually happening inside your body when your body is inflamed? Let's understand what inflammation is and what actually happens in inflammation with the help of a diagram. So, as you can see in the diagram, inflammation is triggered by a tissue injury or an infection. Let's take an example of cut on the hand. This injury triggers inflammation and causes chemical release to protect your injured tissue. This is a mast cell, a type of white blood cell which releases histamine, which in turn starts the process of inflammation. Due to histamine, the diameter of blood vessels increase because of dilatation of the vessels, which causes redness of the wounds or the injury sites. This happens to increase the blood flow at the site of injury because blood has healing substances which helps with faster healing. Next step is increased vascular permeability, which means the cells lining the blood vessels contract, making space for white blood cells and plasma to leach out and go to the injury site. The WBCs or the white blood cells migrate and attaches to the injured site, and the next step is phagocytosis and pathogen destruction. Phagocytosis is the process where immune cell or your WBC white blood cell ingest and kill the microbe. This entire process results in tissue repair and regeneration. So this was the process of inflammation that happens inside your body. So this process is meant to kill the microbes and eliminate from your body and to save you. But the problem is when this process doesn't stop and keeps on going for years and years, that is when the problem arises. Now let's quickly understand the difference between acute and chronic inflammation. So acute inflammation lasts from a few days to a few weeks, whereas the chronic inflammation lasts for years. Then next is acute inflammation is absolutely necessary for your survival, whereas chronic inflammation is very dangerous for your body and it quite damages your organs. The next difference is the symptoms of acute inflammation are quite obvious, so you know your body is inflamed. Whereas the symptoms of chronic inflammations are often silent and you don't even know you're inflamed. Now let's quickly understand with the help of an example what is acute and chronic inflammation. So let's take an example. There's a fire in somebody's house. So acute inflammation is like calling the firefighters, they come, they put out the fire and then they leave. This is acute inflammation. Whereas chronic inflammation is like the firefighters come to your house, even if the fire is put off, they stay at your house and they keep spraying water for years and years. So now the water damages the house more than the original fire would have harmed. So that is what chronic inflammation is. Now let's talk about the signs of inflammation. As we mentioned before, the signs of acute inflammation are quite obvious. That is redness, heat, swelling, pain, and temporary loss of function, which is your body's way of telling you to relax so that your body can heal that area. But there are no obvious signs of chronic inflammation. There are a few warning signs which our body tries to give us, but we often ignore. So let's understand those. So the first and foremost is fatigue. If you sleep for 8 hours or more and still wake up tired and you think this is due to pressure, stress or anything else, maybe think you should think again, because this is one of the most important signs of inflammation. Next sign is mystery aches. If your joint pains without an injury, your muscle is sore without a workout, this is also a sign of inflammation, a chronic inflammation. So the next is your skin acting up. Your acne flares up without any reason, without any hormonal changes. Your psoriasis is back, your eczema is flaring up. This is also due to chronic inflammation. So the next is your gut acting up. You're not able to digest the normal food which you were able to digest before, or you have food allergies which were not there before. These are also the signs of chronic inflammation. The next most important sign is brain fog. You enter the room thinking what you wanted to do and you almost forget? This is brain fog, and this is also due to chronic inflammation. So now we have talked about inflammation, what is acute inflammation, what is chronic inflammation, and what is the difference between the two. But now the question arises, even if I have a few warning signs, how can I be sure that I have inflammation and how I can make it better? So, to be sure that you have inflammation, there is a test known as CRP or C reactive protein. That is a simple blood test. So, get that blood test done. That will tell you the amount of inflammation in your body, because if you know that your body is inflamed or there is something wrong with your body, you can actually work in making it better. So, in this video, we have discussed that inflammation is body's normal defense mechanism to protect, and when it works right, it is a lifesaver. But the problem arises when it lingers in your body for years and years without you even knowing it. There are millions of people who are inflamed and they don't even know it, because, as we discussed, chronic inflammation does not have any obvious signs. It has warning signs, but we often tend to ignore it. And chronic inflammation is the root cause of all the major diseases like cancer, or autoimmune diseases, heart diseases, stroke, and much more, which we will talk about in our upcoming videos. But the good news is that chronic inflammation is largely controllable through simple lifestyle and dietary changes. In the next part, we are going to talk about what are the causes of inflammation and how we can deal with this inflammation by simple dietary and lifestyle changes. So don't forget to like this video, share with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the next part, because this information can actually add up years in your life. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself and your health.